Welcome back, folks. In the Deep South, they have many names. But in the end, it's all the same thing. And that's Bigfoot. Tonight, we are off to Alabama and some audio captures that are enough to make the strongest of men wet their shorts. Several instances and some up close. These investigators are fearless, along with a Quasi Flashback, and possibly, just maybe, another Camping Tips for Stupids. Followed by the final Expedition Stumpy update. Tonight's show is ramping up fast. And now, here's our host with the fiercest beard in the business, the Reverend Jeff Kelly.
That's right, Squatchers. It is Expedition Week, and we are all fired up to get us out to the El Dorado National Forest for the first trip of the year. It's not my first trip of the year, but it's the first public trip of the year, of course. And I got to tell you, the reservoir has been stocked. The bait has been bought. The food is in the fridge. And the last preparations in the old Reverend's house. The air mattress was tested. I mean, literally, like, my house is, people think I'm moving. Where are you moving? No, I'm going camping. That's right. So the expedition equipment is flowing. The car is slowly getting loaded. And we are really, really excited to be going out on expedition around the Central Divide. That's right, man. Many a time Bigfoot has been spotted there, and that's where we are heading. But first up tonight, let's talk about a little bit of stuff that's in the news, because that's always a little bit of fun, right? Hey, where hominid brains are concerned, size doesn't matter. That's right. Our favorite new species, Homo naledi. We went the wrong way in Africa, people. The little monkey people that used torches to light their way down the cave, to throw their bodies down in this cave for us to have all this information about them later on. Well, new research by Ralph Holloway and his colleagues include researchers from the University of the Witwatersrand, Johannesburg, South Africa, published the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, examines the imprints of the brain upon the skulls of this species called endocasts. That's right. The research highlights the human-like shape of Naledi's tiny brain. Surprising scientists who study fossil, these findings draw further into question the long-held belief that human evolution was an inevitable march towards bigger, more complex brains. You can check this one out at laboratoryequipment.com or find the link. Yeah, it's all over the place. Hey, ourstate.com wants to know, and of course is North Kakalaka, is Bigfoot backyard in the Uwharrie National Forest. A fuzzy video of a furry beast and a sweet tooth has spawned an industry all its own in the Uwharries. That's right. Many in Montgomery County believe, some worldwide believe, but do you believe? Is Bigfoot real? Apparently, Bigfoot lives in the Uwharrie National Forest, where he or she screams, cuffs tents, eats candy bars, leaves platter-sized footprints, and knocks so loudly on tree trunks that you can hear it from miles away. After talking to Bigfoot investigators and Bigfoot leaders, the gun-toting gold prospector who has a Bigfoot hunting dog over the years, this fella has spent his share of mornings in Bigfoot Central, the El Dorado Outpost, the huge store at the northern doorstep of the Uwharries. And it goes on to talk about things he's seen, people he's talked to, stories he's heard. And, you know, is it right there in the Uwharries? Well, Julie Wrench has put up her place right outside that national forest. And if she says the Bode Boogers are calling from there, I tend to believe her. Mysterious universe. What is the future for cryptozoology? Apparently, Nick Redfern wants to know. Just recently, and mainly at Facebook, there's been significant debate. There ain't no scientific debate going on Facebook. We know that. On the matter of the future of cryptozoology, or more correctly, the possible lack of a future for the subject. For those who may not know, cryptozoology is the study of unknown animals, and we're talking about the likes of the creatures of the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and the Ogopogo and Champ. China's equivalent of the Bigfoot, the Yeren. Those are cryptozoological type animals, and that's what cryptozoology is all about. Not real sure about how these guys are coming up to the conclusion that there won't be a future for it, seeing as how it's always been the crackpots and the fringe of us studying it on the edge of society. Why would we quit? I don't know. You can check that one out at mysteriousuniverse.com. Somerset Live in the UK. Yeah, that's right. A man on a train's 100% certain he saw him a Bigfoot in a Somerset field. That's right. Claimed to see the hairy creature while taking a train from Exeter to Bristol. Apparently, the man said he hadn't been on a train in a very long time and was approaching the city on a Friday morning in November last year when he saw a massive creature taking huge strides along a hedgerow. He reported the sighting to the British Bigfoot Sightings Group, a team of researchers who collect and investigate sightings of upright, hairy-like creatures in Britain. The man claimed that he left Exeter late in the morning, and there were a few people on the train as it approached Bristol. In my carriage, there was probably 12 people, most of them with their head in their mobile phones or morning newspaper. I haven't been on a train for years, so I was staring out the window at the scenery. It's hard to think that there would be a Bigfoot in a country like, England. Most of the British city, all the trees have been cut down several times. I mean, like all of them. Like never giving a Bigfoot type creature a place to live. Hard to say, but hey, they say we're crazy too. So meet Robin Lynn Pfeiffer, rural Michigan's mother of Bigfoots. That's right. She's found that Bigfoots love blueberry bagels. Who is the mother of Bigfoots? Robin Lynn Pfeiffer is just a regular woman who happens to be a magnet for hairy, mysterious creatures that have never been seen by anyone outside of a select few. Like ranch owners beset by aliens in Arizona, Lynn Pfeiffer is more than willing to share her story with the world, setting the record straight on Bigfoot behavior and earning a complicated relationship with the greater Bigfoot community. Now, this is a name I've never heard. Don't know who this person is. There are no pictures or videos associated with this person. This is one of those instances where, believe me, or you're a bigot type of situation comes up. And, well, I guess you'll just have to call me a bigot. Bigfoots are a bunch of pranksters, according to Lynn Pfeiffer. When Bigfoot aren't chomping down on blueberry bagels or dry dog food, they're goofing around and pulling pranks. I can't read anymore of this. Ranker.com. It's out there. Robin Lynn Pfeiffer. Enjoy it. There you go, people. That's the news. Final availability for the El Dorado Bigfoot Watch Expedition Stumpy. If you want any of the gear that came up with Expedition Stumpy, you're going to have until we get back on Sunday to order it, because it will be gone after that. But there are other campaigns up there. Of course, there's the Lounge Podcast, the official member, and Bigfoot Campfire Stories. So not to fear, I will have new designs coming forward with the new campaigns after we get back. That is on redbubble.com/people/Bigfoot Watch. And there'll be a link in the description after the show. Dun, dun, dun. And there we have it, folks. We are done with the news. Right after the news, what do we usually do? Well, it's time for a quasi update. So why wouldn't it be time for a quasi update from our quasi scientist, of course, Mr. Dean Cooper. And now, quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
Cyclical old soul. We all know about our sun's 11-year cycle of spottiness, how it gets spottier and less spotty over an 11-year period. Well, not really an 11-year cycle. The cycle ranges between 9 and 12 years, 11 being the average of 9 and 12 approximately. The actual average is 10 and a half, so you could round it up to 11 or down to 10. I haven't a clue why 11 is official. The sunspot cycle was discovered in 1843 by Samuel Heinrich Schwabe. Its official name is therefore the Schwabe cycle. I can't figure out why no one talks about the sun's other cycles. There's at least 4 more. There's the Wolf-Gleisberg cycle of about 80 years. The number of sunspots in each 11-year cycle goes up and down in an 80-year cycle. Then there's the de Vries-Suess cycle of about 200 years. It is based on increasing and decreasing concentrations of carbon-14 in ice core and tree rings. Carbon-14 is created from regular old carbon-10 when an atom of carbon-10 gets whacked by a cosmic ray. When the sunspot cycle cycles down really low, and there are very few sunspots, the sun's magnetic field gets weaker and starts letting more cosmic rays hit the Earth. Cosmic rays, by definition, come from the cosmos. You know, way out there somewhere. The Bray-Hallstatt cycle is about 2,300 years long. Its existence is inferred not only by carbon-14 measurements, but also by beryllium-10 measurements. There's a proposed solar cycle that hasn't been named yet. It's around 6,000 years long. So what's it all mean, you may well ask? Well, when you take all these sunspot cycles and the implied variations in the sun's energy output, you get things like the Maunder minimum. What's the Maunder minimum, you may well ask? It was the last time the cycles ganged up and sunspot activity nearly vanished for 70 years, from 1645 to 1750, about the coldest period in the Little Ice Age. What's the Little Ice Age, you might well ask? That's for me to know and you to find out about next week. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
That's right. Our quasi-theorist, Mr. Dean Cooper. How you doing? All right, people. No camping tips for stupids this week. Maybe next week. Mr. Jevon got a bit caught up with doing stuff. But let's say howdy y'all to everybody out there in internet lands, because there's a whole bunch of you. Hello, Mr. Gian. How you doing tonight, sir? Cheryl Willen is in the house with us, as well as Natalie Smith. I hope you guys are feeling well. If not, may the love and light of whatever you believe in fill you till you do. Timothy McCune, how you doing there, sir? Glad you are with us as well. And, of course, there's our quasi-theorist, Mr. Ding Cooper. There is Can Squanch checking in, as well as Kathy Yarborough. How you doing? Let's see here. I know there's lots and lots more people to go yet. I know that Christopher and Cassie are out there, the Squatch Box, and checking out in no man's land. Let's see here. Who else is floating around here tonight? Danny from Texas. How you doing, sir? Glad you are with us tonight. I saw a bunch. Don Ripe is in the house. Hello, Sir Viking. Still lots of room if you want to come down this weekend and join us. You know, we'll be there Friday, Saturday, and, well, Sunday morning. We'll be packing up to come home. But, yeah, definitely for sure. We're there all day Friday and all day Saturday. Let's see here. I know there's more people than this floating around because I saw them. Jonathan Dowdy, how you doing, sir? Glad you could join us with Shane Barber. Tell your wife I hope she feels better. Back pain sucks, and I know how bad that is. Then there is Mr. I saw Obsidian Radio checking in. How you doing there, champ? Glad you could join us as well. Mr. Dave Jackson, hope you're feeling better, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. There's our crazy Canadian, Mr. Cameron Young. He's taking a moment to step away from sports to come join us for some Bigfoot. That's Sherwood Park Sports Talk. You want to check those guys out on Facebook, on YouTube. They got some definitely good stuff going on. There we go. Mr. Cameron Young, Hawk Outdoors. That's right. He'll be joining us up here for Expedition Stumpy, Mr. Jason Huckabee. Glad you are with us tonight as well. There's the Oreo Cream Rocks. Well, because it just does. I'm glad you're with us as well. B. Footer, good evening back at you. There's more people than this. I know there is. If you haven't said hello to me, I can't say hello back. So that kind of does put a damper on things. But I'm sure that Monica Luna's out there. Always an adventure. Luna's usually floating around out there as well. Lewis, I hope you're ready for the drive up here, as well as Jonathan Sasquatch. I'm sure they're all getting stuff packed and ready to go. There, Karen Robb checked in late and I caught it. So I think that's everybody for now. Give me a chance. We'll get back into things here. And racing, I somehow missed you, but I caught you just at the end there. So glad you guys are all with us, and we will have a good time tonight. Yes, we are talking about, as some people call it, the Dirty South. That's right. Alabama. I have squatched many a time in Alabama. And I got to tell you, it's just like any of the other southern states. There is absolutely no reason as to why Bigfoot would not exist in some of the areas of Alabama. And I was right next to Louisiana. And well, not next to Louisiana, it's next to Mississippi, and it's next to Georgia IA, and all of that runs up through the Appalachian Trail. It starts in Georgia. The Talladega National Forest runs through Alabama, so there's plenty of opportunity for there to be. I don't know. I won't give me the satellite today. Oh, there it is. There. If we kick over the old satellite here, especially southern Alabama is really swampy, but northern Alabama, they really are deeply forest populated. Birmingham, moving out towards the Chattahoochee National Forest, that's all a big, strong force of the same mountainous type areas that we talk about out here in California as well. So with that, give that sucker a chance to load. Let's see if we can't zoom in here a little bit towards the Talladega National Forest. Nah, it just wants to fight me. So let's go back to the map and make it easy on us. Let's just do that. How about that? There we go. All right. So what do I have for y'all tonight for crazy Bigfoot sounds? Well, the very first thing that was labeled off out of Alabama was Crazy Yell. That's right. It's a two-part Crazy Yell. Now, the first part, I've given you the original, and then we've done a little bit of an enhancement. It's about a minute long. Remember, put on your headphones. If you've got expensive speakers, turn them down. I don't want you to blow up your home system listening to over modulated Bigfoot enhancements. Now you can hear the very beginning of that. There was something faint in the background that set the coyotes off. Well, of course, I've enhanced it as far as I can, and have brought up that early part quite a bit. Let's take a listen to that one. Now, whatever the front part of that howl was, definitely set the coyotes off. But I'm not sure I can claim that to be something outside of the norm. Very well could have been a coyote lead into that. It didn't have that big, powerful vocal lung capacity like we like to hear, but it did have that low again to it. And I don't know that a coyote yip can do that. Now, so that's one of those questionable ones. We'll leave it at that. I'll leave that kind of up to your decision there. Now, these next series of vocals come from a fellow by the name of Joe Olson in Alabama. He's trying some different things, but he tapes and videos everything he does as soon as he gets out in the woods. And he's actually gotten some very decent captures. The first 43 seconds clip is the original, and then I've got an enhancement behind it. So let's take a listen to it. Now, if that's some kind of bird, it's a very, very strange happening because birds don't really vocalize at night unless they're an owl or something with really, really big eyes and is capable of hunting at night. I'm not really sure what that is, but whatever it is, seems to like the sound of its own voice echoing off of the canyon walls. I mean, there in that enhancement, you can actually hear the fall behind echo, and I just don't know what that is. Is it more than one creature calling back and forth to each other? I've never heard this particular cadence, associated to a Sasquatch before, but in Alabama, I have no idea what that would be, to be honest with you. Now this comes out of the same fella. Now there's a couple of specific yells that he wanted to feature, and unfortunately didn't do a really good job of enhancing them. But of course, I was able to clean them up later. So here's the 19-second original by the same fella here.
Yeah, keep it on down. You have just been initiated. What is?
Yeah, I don't know what those are. That's very. Here's the first one in an enhancement for you.
Yeah, keep it on down. You have just been initiated. What is?
I've seen some people, comment dog or wolf. I don't know about dog, wolf maybe, but in Alabama,
yeah, keep it on down.
And here's the second half of that they were able to pick up. in Alabama, make sure you comment down there in the comment section if you've heard any of those things. Now, this is at night now. These aren't sounds that are being recorded during the daytime. These are sounds that are being recorded at night. I sure would like to know what those are, because, I'm ready to wet my pants and I ain't even out there. That's some scary stuff to be hearing in the middle of the daggone night. So finally here, what I've got for us as far as vocals are concerned, is from Tony Bigfoot. I don't know if you guys know who this fella is. I'm not real familiar with him. I've got a minute-long original, unedited, and it's got some seriously interesting vocals on it, and then I've got 3 enhancements to come behind it. So let's take a listen to the minute-long and unenhanced.
Oh my gosh. Are you hearing this? That is a Bigfoot. We got a full moon.
So that was the original unenhanced. Now there are 3 sections of that I was really able to bring up, and these are probably the most interesting of them all.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And that was the very first kind of like moan out, like,
are you hearing this?
I can't really pick up exactly a tonality to this one. It's kind of all over the place.
Are you hearing this?
And, without enhancement in the field, they would have been hearing it at that original unedited level, that barely in the background type of stuff, wondering exactly what it was until they got home. Well, here's the biggest. It's a 37-second enhancement. Of seriously, if you have any idea what it is, please, by all means.
That is a Bigfoot. We got a full moon.
Whatever it is out there is definitely wanting its presence known. And, for me, I've been there. I've been on those nights where you can hear them aggressively sounding off in the distance, and you start to wonder yourself, are they coming towards me next? I don't really know. It's kind of scary. And with that, my friends, it brings us to the final Expedition Stumpy update before we go. So the last words are, there should be water there on the 18th at some point before the end of the day. The water should be there, clean and tested, but I don't know for sure. So saying that, and since I probably won't speak to most of you guys coming in before the trip, bring water. Bring 2 gallons of water per person per day. So if you're there for 3 days, bring 6 gallons of water per person. Not that big a deal. The lake reservoir is there. We can boil water on the fire. So if you don't feel like bringing water at all, just don't complain. You got to walk 1,000 yards down to the reservoir to fill up a jug to come back and boil it on the fire. That's all. Otherwise, I would just say bring in some clean water and everybody will be happy. The camp is open. Does not seem to be any reservations ahead of us. So if we get in there early, we should be able to get set up. If not, the check-in time is actually 2 p.m. You'll find us down at the boat ramp, probably fishing. Well, got to do something while we wait. And then we'll be able to go into camp and get everything set up and running. Outside of that, it should be a little bit of rain to prepare for, a couple of passing thunder showers in the afternoon is what the weatherman. It's gonna rain. Other than that, we're gonna have a really, really good time. And let me go back and check out the fan room one more time, see who else has been floating around up there. Oh, there's Mr. James the Grower. He showed up. Squatchy Inc. That's right. Mr. Wes Losner. He finally showed up to see us as well. The Life and Times of JCM. There we are. That's the man. We are so glad to be here. Mr. Brown Dwarf checked in a little late with us as well. And I am sure there he is. If I just Dogman Central and something about F Google and the 6 ways they wrote in on. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure who that guy is, but welcome aboard, or chick, I guess it could be. And that, my friends, is where we are at. I do have another epic Bigfoot campfire story to end the show off with this week. So I will bring that up for you guys. And may there, Cody Johnaway. I knew I almost missed somebody in there. I'm glad I didn't miss you. Epic Bigfoot campfire story is coming up next. Not Bigfoot campfire story, but real Bigfoot encounter flashback. And we will see you guys after the expedition. May the light of everything you believe in heal you, and everything you don't believe in, if it can heal you, let it do it. With that, I love you all. We'll see you soon, and may the Squatch be with you. Welcome to another real Bigfoot Encounters with Reverend Jeff. This week's encounter comes to us from the mountains of South Carolina, where a young family takes up residence in a secluded cabin deep off grid. Let's hear their story. In the early fall of 2005, my wife, 4-year-old son, and I were gifted a long weekend in the mountains by my in-laws. The drive was only 5 hours or so, and we could arrive early Thursday and stay until Monday morning. The week seemed to fly past as we packed for our adventure. The brochure said fabulous off-grid cabin, 10 miles from anything. Flush toilet, hot showers, and those were the highlights of the advertisement. We got up at daybreak on Thursday and headed for the cabin. My son had passed out in the back of the car, so it was just my wife Susie and I listening to the oldies channel as we made our way up from the low country to the mountains. The further up the mountain we went, the less buildings and people we saw. The one last gas station before the private road, so we pulled in and filled up the gas tank, picked up a few last things, and we talked with the clerk. We mentioned that we had rented the Coleman cabin, and his face went white. I'd asked what was wrong, and he said, "I take it you didn't hear about the last people that stayed up there." I inquired about the story, and he just said, "Let's put it this way. They never located the bodies, but everyone is pretty sure they are dead, yet no one knows from what." "Don't you mean who?" I asked. He said, "No, I mean what. Just be sure you have a gun with you." I did, in fact, have a shotgun and a .45 long Colt with me. I rarely travel into the wilds without them. We loaded the rest of the SWAT and headed up the mountain. 5 minutes, but the trip at this point was much more than an hour as we missed the turnoff to the cabin. I backtracked to one they did a bunch later, a spectacular cabin in the mountains. A small lake for fishing was literally in the backyard. Susie took little Jimmy in the house to get him changed into play clothes, so I took a look around on the property. Someone had been up there, as there was repairs to the cabin, freshly cut aged firewood, and the cabin was spotless. I set up the outside fire pit and then went in to set up the fireplace, as we knew it would get cold that night, but not too cold. When I finished, I found Susie and Jimmy in the kitchen getting ready to make some dinner. The fridge and the lights worked off of solar, and they seemed to be working just fine. We didn't have a care in the world at that particular moment. After dinner, we sat outside by the fire, roasting marshmallows with Jimmy, when the oddest sound I'd ever heard come from the woodline. It was a prolonged whoop, and then a knock from what sounded like a tree being hit with a baseball bat. It was the last we heard, though, so we went back to making more s'mores. Some time had passed, and it was time to put Jimmy down for the night, so Susie carried him into the bedroom, turned on the baby monitor. It was very warm in that room, for the chimney was just right there, so she cracked the window a little and placed the monitor on the windowsill. She joined me back by the outside fire. It was maybe 40 feet from the window next to where Jimmy was sleeping, and we were snuggled down by the fire. My thoughts were making on Jimmy a little sibling when Susie got frightened by a sound. It sounded like a bang on the baby monitor from the room Jimmy was sleeping in. She rushed into the house to find nothing out of place, so she kind of dismissed it and came back. 10 minutes later, another bang, only this time we heard it hit the house, and a grunt came over the monitor. Then Jimmy started to scream, and was crying monster. We both sprung up to investigate, and upon entering the room, Susie too let out a blood-curdling scream. "Tom, get your ass in here." I was 3 seconds behind her when I grabbed my shotgun on the way in, and I caught a glimpse of something as it turned away from the window. Susie ran out of the room with Jimmy rocking and crying on the sofa near the fire. I know she saw something, but what it was I couldn't tell. I asked her what she saw, and she said it was a hairy monster, and it was staring at the baby and knocking on the window frame. Just then, from behind me, the front wall, something big was hurled at the cabin as it rocked from the impact. We could have sworn it was something coming in. I put Susan and the baby down on the floor and covered them with the couch covers and the cushions and headed over to the front door. I swung open the front door, and running through the yard was a massive hair-covered creature. It had to have been at least 8 feet tall, was running like a human, but this was no guy in a suit. The proportions were all wrong. It noticed I was standing there, and it turned towards me and began to run in my direction. I leveled up my shotgun, and I pulled the trigger. The double-aught buck hit the chest right towards the shoulder, and it went down. I fired 2 more rounds at it as it then retreated into the house. As I turned, I noticed a huge boulder the size of a bowling ball is what had hit the cabin. I went in, slammed the door, and stood guard over my family. Susie was shaking and crying, and the baby was just numb. We needed to get the hell out of there. I began to notice a little movement out the front window near where the creature had gone down. I slowly approached the window so that I could see better, and I noticed what seemed to be another hairy monster collect the body of the one that I had to shoot. And then just as he drug it along, one came out of the wood line, and the two carried the dead body off into the woods. I stood and watched there as they carried the body off into the woods until the sun began to rise. We quickly gathered up the important belongings and got the hell out of there as fast as we could. As I drove down the private road, at one point, I could have sworn I saw one of those creatures watching us leave the area. Susie finally calmed down, and Jimmy had passed out in the back seat, so I asked if I should go to the sheriff's office. Susie said, "And tell them what? A Bigfoot attacked our cabin, and you killed one? No. No, thank you. Just get me home. You know I hate the woods." To which I said, "You're right, dear, and we'll just never speak of this ever again." We kept our promise to each other and never spoke of it again. I only tell you this now because the time feels right, and people need to be aware that Bigfoot is out there, and when you least expect it, he may just show up. This young family had a night of terror that they will never forget. For me, it was another real Bigfoot encounter. Thanks for watching. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you. All righty, folks. Wish us luck in the woods. May the Squatch be with you, and we will see you next week.